Hello again, and welcome to the WBAP 820 570 KLIF Weather Podcast from the Cumulus Broadcast Center in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Barton. Again, normally this is a weekly thing, but with the imminent winter storm moving into the North Texas area this Wednesday afternoon, we thought we'd bring you up to date with as much information as we possibly could load into you and make sure you're as prepared as possible for the weather that we're going to be facing over the next probably 48 hours. Let's start with the satellite photo, the satellite image actually from this morning. You can still see Gulf moisture coming northward, which can always add to the rainfall and the ice fall totals that we're going to see in east and northeast Texas. That's still kind of troubling. And, of course, very thick clouds overhead. You can see the banding that's running from southwest to northeast. That is part of the first impulse that is coming through. It's setting off light rain across west Texas, maybe some light freezing rain in northwest Texas, as well as snow in the Panhandle and snow elsewhere in the country, as we'll show you momentarily. But this is the first of two upper-level impulses to come through. The second one will come through late tonight through Thursday night, and it will produce a little bit more in the way of snowfall and certainly heavier ice accumulations farther to the northeast. Let's take a look at the static radar image right now. So here's what we have. We have snow from Colorado and western Kansas moving on up through Missouri, on up through Illinois and Indiana into the Great Lakes right now. Some of the heavier snow is just a little bit northeast of St. Louis, and then you see the purple shade south of St. Louis. They're getting a little bit of icing there. And also note that in northwest Texas, there's a little bit of sleet or freezing rain now in northwest Texas, and that's what's going to be headed into the Dallas-Fort Worth area within the next few hours. And once again, I'll show you the model we did yesterday. This is today's rendering of it, but it gives you an idea of the length of time of our precipitation. So we're starting off with rain here within the next few hours in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then probably by 6 o'clock it changes over to sleet, and it lasts for several hours overnight, and then we'll wind up with snow during the day on Thursday, wrapping up possibly as late as midnight with just a few snow flurries moving on out of the area. So it's going to take a while to get through here. Now we're looking at a slightly different image from what we used yesterday, and I'll show you the snowfall in a minute, but this is the anticipated accumulation of ice from northeast Texas up through Arkansas and again through portions of Kentucky and Indiana and so forth into Ohio. There's going to be some very heavy icing. Where you see those orange colors, even red and orange colors, that's where we're likely to see the heaviest tree limb damage and into the power lines and probably the most likely power outages as well in the area. Now, as for snowfall, because we're going to see more ice, we're going to see less snow. Yesterday, when we looked at this particular model, we were looking at some 14, 15-inch snowfalls in the core of this thing, moving on up toward the Great Lakes and through Indiana and Illinois. But that's been brought down a little bit to 6 or 8 inches because of the icing that will be precipitating first. So that'll come out of there. So the icing is worse, but there won't be as much snow. Here is the winter storm warning now that the National Weather Service has in effect. The winter storm warning begins at 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon for areas just northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Then the metro Dallas-Fort Worth area goes under the winter storm warning at 6 o'clock. Sun's coming down at that time. Temperatures are going to be getting continually cooler the rest of the day, and that's when the Weather Service believes we'll start to see some freezing rain and sleet moving into the area. Roads could get very icy between 6 and 10 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then we'll see a change over to sleet overnight. Winter storm warning a little bit later to the south of Dallas-Fort Worth down toward Waco and Corsicana, Mahia, and Palestine, but they'll also be looking at some icing before it's all over. Here's the timeline now of what to expect and when. Again, looking at the DFW area, rain moving in anytime now, and we're recording this a little bit before noon. Rain moving in anytime, and then changing over to freezing rain and sleet sometime after 6 or 7 o'clock, going through maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and then sleet mainly through morning drive through maybe 8 or 9 o'clock Thursday morning, followed by snow, which probably won't wrap up until well after dark Thursday night. You can see the various timelines for the other communities that they're checking: Waco, Sherman, Denison, Graham out west, Stephenville, and Palestine as well. Anticipated snowfall amounts. Okay, we see the snow mostly over Graham and Bowie areas well to the northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth, then kind of a mix of sleet and snow over Mineral Wells in Decatur and Wise County, mix of sleet and snow over Fort Worth and Dallas all the way up to McKinney, 2 to 3 inches in Fort Worth, 1 to 2 inches in Dallas and McKinney, although we could see higher end amounts if you look at the image on the right side. There is kind of a worst case scenario, 2 to 3 inches of snow over the Dallas-Fort Worth area and maybe 4 to 6 inches off to the northwest, so keep that in mind. Again, keep your preparations ready to go as well, okay? And I'm just going to let you take a look at this. More than anything, I would say, again, if you have a lavatory or kitchen faucet that's on an outside wall, it's important for you to open the cabinets and just let the heated air reach that, and then you could leave it drip very slowly tonight. Be very careful with fire, very careful with generators, very careful with candles and oil lamps, please. Batteries are about the safest way you can go. And, of course, if you don't have to get out, please don't. But if you do, make sure you have plenty of gas, one of those foreign-looking objects like an ice scraper, extra water, jumper cables, and power for your cell phone along with some blankets, just in case you do get stranded somewhere. That's very important. Here's our forecast once again. Windy and turning colder with rain increasing and temperatures falling into the 30s this afternoon. Winds out of the north 15 to 20 and gusty. Wind chills will be in the 20s this afternoon. That's pretty bitter. And tonight it gets worse with freezing rain mixed with sleet. Combined accumulations just under an inch through midnight. Low by morning about 27 degrees. North winds 15 to 25, wind chills in the teens overnight and tomorrow morning. Sleet mixed with snow during the day Thursday, changing over to snow Thursday afternoon, ending after dark. Again, we're thinking 1 to 3, maybe 2 to 3 inches, possibly 4 inches in some cases. Our afternoon high only near 23, lows 15 to 17. Again, bitter wind chills from north winds, 20, 25 miles per hour wind chills could be in the single digits Thursday night into early Friday morning. Now, on Friday, we will see the sun, and temperatures will get up to 32, maybe 34 degrees, but whatever has not run off and drained off will refreeze Friday night into Saturday morning with temperatures dropping down to 15 degrees, so be aware of that. We'll finally get out of the woods sometime this weekend. Well, thanks again for joining us on this podcast from WBAP 820 and 570 KLIF, and we will be busy, all hands on deck, the rest of the day, tonight, overnight, and during the day tomorrow to keep you up to the minute with the very latest changing weather conditions. Please check in with us often, and we'll do our best to keep you informed. Thanks again for watching this podcast. We'll talk to you next time.